Hey everyone, and welcome to the Spinn Political Edition.
That's right, we're breaking format this episode, so there'll just be facts, no opinions, no spin. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Spin. I'm John Alaska.
And I'm Tiffany Salme, and we're your hosts for today's political special of The Spin. Today we'll be breaking down the platforms of each candidate running in the two major parties, as well as a quick look at third-party candidates.
We're going to break down into categories that we think really get to the core of what a UNF student would be looking for. We're going over tax plans, foreign policy, college debt, and healthcare.
We also have a demographic breakdown of the election history of Duval County, Florida, and the U.S. We have a really great show today, so let's jump right in and start off with everyone's favorite topic, taxes.
Let's toss it over to James with the breakdown.
Taxes are no fun, but I'm going to try my best to break this down. Let's start with Trump. All information used in this breakdown has been taken straight from his website. The overall vision of Trump's tax plan is to, quote, reduce taxes across the board, especially for working and middle-income Americans who will receive a massive tax reduction. So let's look into what that means and how he wants to lower your taxes. Right now, our tax system exists in a 7-bracket system, and Trump wants to break that down to 3. These brackets are effective for married filers, and if you're single, you pay half of the percentage if you were married. A tax rate is essentially the amount of money you pay based off a percentage in taxes per year. In Trump's plan, if you make less than $75,000 per year, you pay a 12% tax rate. If you make between $75,000 and $225,000 per year, you pay a 25% tax rate. And if you make more than $225,000 per year, you pay a 33% tax rate. As far as business taxes, Trump wants to lower the business tax rate from 35% to 15%. As the Tax Foundation put it, Donald Trump's plan is a tax cut for all income groups, while Hillary Clinton's plan is a tax increase on select income groups. With that, let's move to Clinton. Her plan is to, quote, committed to restoring basic fairness in our tax code and ensuring that the wealthiest Americans and large corporations pay their fair share, while providing tax relief to working families. According to her website, she wants to implement a multimillionaire fair share charge on taxpayers making more than $5 million per year. She wants to close a few loopholes, starting with the Bermuda loophole, which allows companies to purchase insurance out of the country to avoid paying, quote, their fair share. Clinton also wants to cut taxes for small businesses and provide a tax relief for middle class. It's a pretty basic look at candidates' tax plans. For more information, check out their websites where each campaign goes into a more detailed account of tax plans. Or check out Spinnaker's Political Edition.
In today's uncertain world, foreign policy has been on the forefront of the political discussion this election cycle, and now we're going to break down exactly what Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton believe, starting with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton wants to invest in an intelligence infrastructure, which essentially means she wants to invest more money into the FBI and CIA to better communicate and intercept threats. On immigration, she wants to allow in more refugees while also pushing for comprehensive immigration, which includes strengthening the border and improving the wait time for immigrants. On ISIS, she wants to defeat ISIS by intensifying the air coalition, which essentially means she wants to increase airstrikes on ISIS leaders. She also wants to make sure that there is a civil diplomatic solution to the Syrian civil war, and then also arm the Kurds to help reach that goal. On Russia and China, Hillary Clinton believes that we need to hold them accountable when it comes to human rights violations, and she also wants to move towards a détente with Cuba. On NATO, she believes that it's very important to keep our NATO ties close because they stood with us on 9/11, and that having NATO is the best way to curb aggressions from countries like Russia.
Now for Trump's foreign policy. On ISIS, Mr. Trump hasn't really given a fully detailed plan on what he plans to do to defeat ISIS, but in a speech in Iowa, he said he would, quote, bomb the shit, end quote, out of the group's oil operations. On immigration, Mr. Trump wants to build a roughly 1,000-mile wall on U.S.'s border, which would be funded by Mexico. He also wants to triple the immigration officers present on the borders and deport roughly 11 million people who are undocumented and currently living in the United States. On NATO, he wants the allies of NATO to pay more for the overall protection of Europe and hinted that the U.S. might leave the alliance during a Trump presidency.
But now we're going to go to James to talk about something that's always on college students' minds, college debt.
We've talked about taxes. Now let's talk about another hot topic in the political race, college reform. All information is found on studentdebtrelief.us. Clinton's plan starts with lowering the payments of borrowers and refinancing current interest rates. She also hopes to establish a 3-month stall on repaying of the loans so that the student can get their finances in order and set up a plan. She wants to shorten all income-based repayment programs to a 20-year student loan forgiveness plan. She would also reward employers who assist employees with loans and encourage entrepreneurship by offering a 3-year deferment. Trump has stated that he wants to restructure the student loan system and doesn't think the government should forgive loans outright. He hopes to move lending away from the federal government and more into private banks, and wants to punish schools when students fail to repay loans. He has stated that he wants colleges to be more particular on who they allow to attend, only allowing those who they think would succeed.
Thanks, James. Those were some really great student opinions. But enough from us. We're going to give it to Jocelyn to give us a demographic breakdown.
Duval County has been a hot spot for politics over the years. In 2008 and 2012, Duval County voted Republican. But for the state of Florida, President Obama won by the slimmest margin to turn the state blue. As of today, nearly 190,000 votes have been cast in Duval for the year's election. So I am excited to see how this year will turn out for Jacksonville.
That was a really interesting breakdown. But you know, I talked to someone who's really interesting. She's been part of the Clinton campaign all this year. She was the regional lead during the primaries, and now she's more of a volunteer right now. But I had the great pleasure to talking to my friend, Lisa King.
I actually volunteer. I was appointed regional lead for the North Florida region. It's 8 counties last fall, so fall of 2015. And pretty much ran the show through the primary, and now that as we moved into the convention period, which I was also a Hillary Clinton delegate to the Democratic National Convention, but as we moved out of that convention period, then staff started to be sent in, and so now I'm kind of a utility player. I do everything from television appearances on behalf of the campaign to helping with events, to kind of giving, because most of the staff's from out of state, giving them kind of historical background on relationships and issues here in Jacksonville, and important stuff like help with events by like telling people to walk faster, so we need to get the room full and walk faster, please. So
what is the campaign's biggest challenge in Jacksonville?
I think that the biggest challenge is that there's significant election fatigue. Everybody is really, really ready for this election to be over, and this campaign has been so nasty that a lot of people, their tendency is they just don't have time for that kind of behavior, and they just don't want to be involved in anything about anything with the campaign. But I have to tell you, it's amazing what a great recruitment tool Donald Trump's mouth is for us, because we see real spikes in volunteer signups, particularly after any of the debates. It was just like crazy. People were coming out of the woodwork. We couldn't sign them up fast enough to work shifts. So we've really, it's been challenging, but it's been fun.
So do you think that sexism plays a role in the criticism?
Yeah, it does. If you've read Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, there's any number of research, I've been a candidate, so I had to deal with this too. The fact is that in our culture, because we're not used to seeing women as leaders, we see women who are successful, we're uncomfortable about it. We really don't know why. The more successful a woman is, the more unlikable she is perceived. A man, the opposite is true. And so they call it the double bind, right? Because if a woman is going to be competitive, there's going to be this persona kind of put onto her that people will find her unlikable. I used to think that, there was in the last election, there was this thing, Tina Fey said, bitches get things done, right? So I used to think that meant that you had to be a bitch to get things done. What I found is if you're getting things done, people perceive you to be a bitch. And so what I tell my lady friends who are, a lot of women who are amazingly accomplished in all sectors of our community trying to get things done. If people aren't calling you a bitch, you're not trying hard enough. You're not making enough change. So it just comes with the territory, and it's going to be that way until women are in positions of leadership at least 50% in our culture, and then we're used to seeing it, and then that will fade away. It doesn't mean that there's not going to always be a percentage of people that just don't feel comfortable with women in leadership. I come from a faith tradition where we've only had female clergy since 1976, and there are some people in my faith tradition who still aren't comfortable because according to them, you know, that's the way it's supposed to be because their interpretation of the Bible, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's going to be the same way in every sector. Right now, the only sector is the nonprofit sector. It has at least 50% female leadership. And so we're comfortable with a woman running the Red Cross. We're comfortable with a woman running a health foundation. We're still not comfortable with a woman being a CEO, a woman being a president, or a woman being a general. But guess what? They are, and more are coming.
I thought that was a pretty great interview, but I might be a little biased because she is my friend. But now, you know, we're going to talk about something that's really important. Both major party candidates have talked about Obamacare and healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I really care about my health, and I know that Obamacare I wasn't able to get. So in the future, I'm really focused on what these candidates are saying about healthcare and their plans.
So let's go to James to find out more.
Healthcare has been a big point of discussion in this election, so let's see what each candidate hopes to change if elected. All information has been taken from each candidate's website. Trump wants to appeal Obamacare and replace it with health saving accounts. He wants to allow people to purchase insurance across state lines and work with states to establish high-risk pools for individuals who have not maintained coverage. He also hopes to maximize flexibility for states so that local leaders have more control over Medicaid programs. Clinton wants to defend and expand the Affordable Care Act and supports allowing people over 55 years of age purchasing Medicare. She hopes to bring down out-of-pocket costs and reduce the cost of prescription drugs. She will defend access to reproductive health and double funding for community health centers. For more information, check out Spinnaker's political issue or the candidates' websites.
All right, guys, we're going to head into our last segment of the night, which is going to be on third-party candidates. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of third parties and why it's important to vote. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking around with us. We're almost done. We're just going to get into the nitty-gritties of third-party candidates. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Jill Stein. Jill Stein is the Green Party candidate and believes in advocating for the Green New Deal, which is a plan to create millions of jobs by transitioning to 100% clean and renewable energy. She also believes in job as a right and creating living wage jobs for Americans by increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. She wants to end policy, believes healthcare should be affordable for all, end racial justice, freedom and equality, justice for all, and most importantly, she wants to abolish student debt. Now, Jill Stein is basically like Hillary Clinton, except more liberal.
Gary Johnson is almost completely opposite of Jill Stein. He is a libertarian, which means he's socially liberal on some issues like abortion and gay marriage. He believes that abortion should be illegal up until the viability of a fetus, and that gay marriage is okay, and to not allow gay marriage is discrimination, just like it would be to deny interracial marriage or anything like that. But he is very, very conservative on economic issues. He believes in a 0% corporate tax. He will veto any legislation that increases or includes deficit spending. And he believes, unlike Jill Stein, that climate change is real, but that the government shouldn't do anything to stop it. Thank you all for watching. Obama and Trump will both be in Jacksonville Thursday. Obama will be at the UNF Arena and Trump will be at the Westside Equestrian Center. If you liked this episode and want to read more in detail, be sure to pick up the Spinnaker Political Edition. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump look kind of the same on the cover, so maybe there is hope for our democracy after all. Thanks. See you next episode.
Guys.